Hello, my name is Jean Quintus and I am publishing a new fly every month on my website www.meckejang.lu. You see it there.
The fly of the month of December 2017 is a salmon fly, the Kelvin shrimp. To tie this fly we will use a double salmon hook in size 8 up to 14. The thread will be a red medium tying thread. For the tag we will use a golden twisted wire. The tail will be made with red, orange and magenta Arctic fox and black-red crystal flash. For the body we will blend red and yellow seal's fur. The wing will be made with orange Arctic fox and orange crystal flash. The rear hackle will be made with an orange cock feather, the cheeks with jungle cock and the front hackle with a badger cock scarlet bright red cock feather. Tie in the thread at the eye of the hook and wind it in close turns to the beginning of the curvature of the hook. At the point of the hook, cut off the excess of the thread and tie in the ribbing wire at this point. Depending on the hook size, we will wind 5 to 7 turns with the ribbing wire in direction of the curvature of the hook. Then we will pass the ribbing wire in between the two hooks, bring it to the front and secure it with our thread. After the wire is secured, we will move it backwards in between the two hooks and secure it in this position. Then we will tie in the red Arctic fox as a first tail. The length should be approximately the length of the hook shank. Then we will tie in another bunch of Arctic fox, the orange one, which will be roughly the double of the size of the first one. Secure it. And then we will tie in 2 strands of the black-red crystal flash. We will fold it around the thread, bring it up on the top of the hook shank and secure it. Cut it to the correct length. And then we will tie in the third Arctic fox bunch, which will be the magenta one and which will have the same length than the orange one. Cut off the excess of the 3 bunches of Arctic fox and secure the tip in direction of the eye of the hook. Then we will bring back the thread to the beginning of the tag. For the body we will use yellow and red seal's fur, which we will blend together.
Ye banks and braes, O bonny doon, how can ye bloom so fresh and fair? How can ye chant, ye little birds, and
Then we will create a dubbing loop,
full of care? Thou break my
close it, bring the thread to the front of the hook and insert some of the blended dubbing into the loop.
hearted joys, departed never do.
Twist the loop
Oft have I roved by
and wind the body of the fly.
to see the rose and woodbine twine, and milker bird sang of his love, and fond
When you arrive close to the eye of the hook, tie off the loop
with lightsome
and cut off the excess of the loop.
rose, full sweet upon its thorny tree.
Now we will wind the ribbing wire in direction of the eye of the hook,
But I left
and when we arrive at the end of the body, we will tie off the ribbing wire with 2 or 3 turns of tying thread, kink the ribbing wire and tie in the kinked end. Cut off the ribbing wire and using a toothbrush or any other brush, brush out the dubbing of the ribbing. After that we will tie in the wing of the fly. Take a bunch of orange Arctic fox, measure the length, it should be similar to the length of the hook shank.
banks and braes,
Tie in the Arctic fox with its tips facing to the front. Cut off the excess, flip back the tips of the Arctic fox and secure it in this position.
thou break my heart, the
Flip an orange crystal flash around the thread, bring it up on top of the hook shank and secure it up to the beginning of the wing. Cut it to the correct length, it is the length of the wing.
oft have I roved
Then we will use an orange cock feather, brush back the feather tips,
by, and milker bird sang of his love, and fondly so
tie in the feather with its tip, secure the tip with a few turns of tying thread, flip back the tip and secure it in this position. Then, holding some tension on your thread,
my first
tear off the tip of the feather.
but I left the thorn with me.
Using your scissors and keeping the tension on the quill of the feather, brush over the quill. This will make the tips of the feathers flip to the rear side. Grab the quill of the feather with your hackle pliers and wind 2 or 3 turns of wet hackle with your feather. Secure the feather with 3 turns of tying thread and cut off the excess. The next step is tying in the cheeks. For the cheeks we will use jungle cock feathers. Bring them close to the hook, hold them, secure them, check if the position is correct, then flip back the quills of the jungle cock and secure those quills in this position. Cut off the excess of the jungle cock on both sides. As a front hackle, we will now tie in the scarlet bright red cock feather, which is a badger one. Tie it in the same way than we did with the orange cock feather. That means we are going to tie in the tip of the feather, secure the tip, flip it back, secure it again in that position. Tear off the tip by holding some tension on your thread. Get the tips of the feather to the rear by brushing over it over the quill with your scissors. Then grab the feather with your hackle pliers and wind 2 or 3 turns of wet hackle with this feather. Tie off the feather with 2-3 turns of tying thread. Cut off the excess of the feather. Wind the head of the fly. Whip finish. Add another whip finish. And cut off the thread. To harden the head, we will apply a drop of UV glue onto the head. And cure it with our UV torch.
You can download the detailed tying instructions for this fly and for all the previous ones on my website www.meckejang.lu. Leave a message in the guest book with your email address, and I will send you a mail every time a new fly is published. See you in tight lines.